Hello everybody. So today's video, I wanted to teach you the fundamentals of aiming and something that is really important when it comes to becoming a better aimer and figuring out your sensitivity. Today we're going to be using Aim Labs. It's a free to download or play aim trainer for you, and it has some really good scenarios. So in today's scenario, we are going to be talking about grid shot 180. So basically I'm going to be telling you guys, what is some of the tips that I use in order to get really good aim and some things that you're probably struggling with. So one thing about aiming, and I have the mouse cam here, is to figure out how much mouse space you have. And that's going to highly depend on what type of sensitivity you are going to be playing on. So say you only have this much mouse pad or this much mouse pad, you're typically going to be learning at a higher sensitivity. But if you have a really long mouse pad, why not utilize it? So a lot of people, when they are starting out aiming, they have what they call their comfort zone. And their comfort zone is, let's just, for example, put this right here. Their comfort zone is right here. So say they don't like moving their mouse all the way over here. They like to slowly, flick it around. Just use this much of the mouse pad, using micro flicks to get to the position that they want to get. And that is what we call the comfort zone of within your range of motion. You're not going to like to be like this, stay here and then go all the way around over here and then come all the way back as one fluid motion. Now, the key and fundamentals of aiming, imagine it like waving your hand. You're going to be using different muscles in different scenarios, right? And a lot of the times you start to tense up. So say I'm doing this and I have to flick over to somebody over here. You're tensing up right here, and you do not want to do that. You want to train your muscles to be relaxed and pretty much just have a nice fluid motion no matter what you do. Staying calm also is another big thing. But when it comes to getting insane flicks, I'm going to be teaching you guys two different extremes of the spectrum. So in Aim Labs here, you have a really good option to see your sensitivity basically in the game you play. I mostly play Call of Duty, but if you go down to controls, you can see Call of Duty series, I have hip fire distance set to 45 centimeters. But if we scroll all the way down here, you can change the sensitivity options from simple to advanced. And what this is going to do is allow you to change your 360 distance. Now, the most important thing when you start to aim on mouse and keyboard, you're not really too concerned about your whole 360 distance. What you are really concerned about is your 180 distance, and that is the most important. Basically, how much you have to move to do a 180, to look behind you and flick back. Very rarely are you going to be doing a complete 360. It's always about 180s, 90s, those type of different, the most common angles you're going to be doing. So we're going to start with one end of the spectrum is a really short, 360 distance. We're going to try 20 centimeters. And what I'm going to do is I want you guys to pay attention to the mouse pad, okay? And what is going to happen is we're going to be doing this grid shot. We're not really going to be trying to get a high score or anything, but I want to show you basically how you want to have a smooth and fluid positioning or movement, right? So I'm going to come over here, back and forth. See how I'm moving? I still have control over my mouse, but you want to get used to this movement, right? I could still do this pretty easily at a lower sensitivity, and I'm purposely not doing it fast because I want to prove a point here, but you're using still one end of the spectrum, right? So a more extreme outside of that comfort zone is going to be something like this. You're going to basically flick across and use micro flicks to get on target, okay? How far you have to move your wrists to get on target. As you guys can see, I'm not doing the fluid motion. I'm just going back and forth and kind of flicking my mouse one way, flicking it this way, flicking it that way. So when it comes to control, I'm going to show you another end of the spectrum where you are going to be using a lower sensitivity, which personally I prefer, but the higher sensitivity is harder to maintain control. But this is where it comes in with you understanding the mechanics of aiming. This is how I'm able to switch from a lower sensitivity to a higher sensitivity. My brain can register and my muscles know what movement I have to do in order to do the micro flicks in my comfort zone. So we're going to raise the sensitivity up to like a 50. Okay, let's go 50. So 50 centimeters for 360 or 360, and my 180 is going to be 25 centimeters. Okay, I'm gonna save these changes here. And in Call of Duty, this is at 800 DPI, by the way. We are at 3.46. This is in Call of Duty Modern Warfare Warzone. So we are going to go back and we're going to go and I'm going to show you, you could still do the same thing on a lower sensitivity. You just have more control. So see how I could flick back and forth my comfort zone. I have more control at a lower sensitivity and it's still the same movement. It's just more minor readjustments and it's easier to readjust at a lower sensitivity. I have the Razer Viper Ultimate, and it's really light and it's really easy just to be fluid on my mouse pad. And this is what I'm talking about, being nice and fluid, knowing the sensitivity, your range that you're playing at. See how smooth I am? But I'm utilizing my whole mouse pad. I'm outside of my comfort zone, but I can also just do micro flicks to get back and forth. That was me using my whole mouse pad. I could do the same thing using just a little bit of my mouse pad, just flicking over. And what I'm getting by this is I could flick like this, then just micro recorrect. See how I flick? I'm still in my comfort zone. I over flick there, but it's just different style of aiming. How much mouse pad do you have? So people that say they can't aim on a small mouse pad, you know, at a lower sensitivity, you can. You just got to know how to play. Your aiming style is going to be a little bit different. And just notice how like I'm just flicking back and forth and doing the micro correction when I'm doing this. When I flick back and forth to do the 180, I do a quick swipe. Or I could just do this, do a quick swipe back and forth. I know how far I have to go. Now on a lower sensitivity or like a faster sensitivity, you're doing these swipes a lot less. But on a higher sensitivity, you're doing these swipes, you know, a lot more. You're using more of your pad. So recognizing the comfort zone and how you want to aim in a certain way, depending on the game that you're playing, you could micro flick. You can do pretty much everything that you do on a low sensitivity at a high sensitivity. And the benefits of a low sensitivity is you are going to have more control over your mouse. So on a higher sensitivity, to make those micro readjustments, you have to do tiny, like really tiny readjustments. And right here is going to tense up a lot more. You're going to be using a lot more of those muscles. It's a lot easier to tense up. Right here is going to tense up because when you're doing this a lot, you're going to try to like tense up to stay on target, and it's really hard to do that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little mini series on how to help get your aim better. Go into Aim Labs and figure out how you want to aim and figure out, just practice what you're most comfortable with. And the cool thing is you could do this with any game, okay? The cool thing about Aim Labs is you can go in here, input your game, and maybe you have a bunch of mouse space like I do, and you don't need to lift your hand off of your mouse pad. See how I did right there? I'm not just going back and forth. I'm going to, you know, go one way, then I'm going to go this way. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back. See how I do those micro recorrections? My aim is nice and fluid. I'm not tensing up. And a good way to practice for this is do this. Nice and easy with your mouse pad. Nice and easy, like you're waving back and forth. Anyway, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Always remember to stay blessed and stay humble, and I'll catch you in a future video. Peace.